Right now at 5, the votes are in. We have the latest numbers from our area.
We've got some patchy, dense fog to contend with this Wednesday morning. We'll take a look at that and those cool temperatures coming up.
Plus, the First Presbyterian Church in Joplin hosts a charity lunch.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
I am Chris Warner. It is Wednesday, November the 6th now,
Yes,
day after Election Day. So a lot going on, a lot of information coming in. President Trump projected to be the next president.
Yes.
It was Grover Cleveland, by the way. It was the last president in the 1800s who served 2 non-consecutive terms. So this hasn't happened in more than 100 years. So
yes, great to see democracy in action today. Well, the voters have spoken, and this morning we have the numbers from yesterday's election across the 4 states and the country. And we begin with a couple of proposed constitutional amendments in Missouri. Now, Amendment 3 would provide for a state constitutional right to reproductive freedom, defined to include abortion. Voters passed that proposal. Missouri Amendment 2 would legalize and regulate sports betting in that state. Now, that proposal is currently passing. Under Missouri's Amendment 6, salaries and benefits for certain law enforcement personnel would be paid for through special court fees. Voters so far oppose that idea by a vote of 60.6% to 39.4%. And Missouri Amendment 7 concerns voting regulations. It would specifically prohibit voting by non-citizens and prohibit ranked voting. That amendment is passing 68.2% to 31.8%. Missouri Proposition A would raise the state's minimum wage over the next 2 years, hitting $15 an hour in 2026. It would also require employers to provide 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. At this point, that proposal is passing by a vote of 58.1% to 41.9%. Turning now to Oklahoma, where voters decided 2 statewide referendums. Referendum number 376 would allow the creation of public infrastructure districts under certain conditions. That question failed. And referendum number 377 would clarify the state constitution that only U.S. citizens may vote. Now, that measure is currently passed with overwhelming numbers. Voters decided several other big races across Missouri and Kansas. Missouri is choosing its new governor, and in a large area of Kansas, a new congressman. Chris has those details.
As you mentioned, several executive roles in Missouri's government were on the ballot yesterday. Turning now to some other big races in Missouri. Current Governor Mike Parson, term limited out. That race has been called for Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe. He beat out Missouri State House Minority Leader Democrat Crystal Quaid. Bill Slants and Paul Lehman are also on there as well. In the Lieutenant Governor's race, the Republican is David Wassinger. The Democrat is currently in Missouri House member Richard Brown. Wassinger is currently leading. Also on the ballot, Libertarian Iverson and Green Party candidate Elliott. In Missouri's U.S. Senate race, incumbent Republican Josh Hawley is challenged by the Democrat former Marine Lucas Coons. Hawley has been declared winner in his bid for re-election. Incumbent Republican Congressman for District 4 Mark Alford is challenged by Democrat Jeanette Cass. Alford retains his seat. In Missouri's 7th District, incumbent Republican Congressman Eric Burleson facing Democratic challenger Missy Hesketh. Kevin Craig is Libertarian. Voters are re-electing Burleson. In Oklahoma's 2nd District, Republican incumbent Congressman Josh Breaching faced 2 challengers, Democratic candidate Brandon Wade and independent candidate Ronnie Hopkins. Breaching has won re-election. And on the Kansas side of the line, 2nd Congressional District Representative Jake LaTurner decided not to run for re-election. Voters chose former State Attorney General Republican Derek Schmidt over former Congresswoman Democrat Nancy Boyda and Libertarian John Hauer. Those are some of the statewide and large area races in the 4 states. And Elise, we're going to send it back over to you.
Well, taking a look now at some other races in the area. We start in Crawford County, Kansas. Republican Billy Tomasi challenged Democratic incumbent Danny Smith in the county sheriff contest. Tomasi wins against Smith. Now, Cherokee County picked a new sheriff tonight after David Groves announced he wasn't running again. Republican Brian Henderson won to Democratic candidate Russ Harper. And in Neosho County, Kansas, Democrat Paul Ornelas challenged incumbent Sheriff Greg Taylor. Taylor wins re-election. Voters in Carthage were deciding whether to recall Ward 5 Councilwoman Tiffany Kosey. That proposal passed. Now we have a more complete list of election results, and it's on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/elections. Now let's head over to Chris with a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we're going to start with a look outside with our camera in downtown Pittsburgh, and things looking pretty good so far. Got a few clouds out there. We have some patchy dense fog as well. MoDOT camera 20th and range line in Joplin looking good so far as well. But again, we do have some dense fog we have to contend with. We got reduced visibilities, Fort Scott, Chanute, Miami, Grove, Independence. That's where some of the more significantly reduced visibilities are. But as you can see, a number of communities in the 4 states facing some of that dense fog. Now that'll burn off by about 8:30 this morning, and we'll be left with mostly clear skies and east breeze around 5 to 10, and temperatures not moving much. And even though we had just some sunshine yesterday, some of us got pretty warm. We are not going to do so today, despite the abundant sunshine we're expecting this afternoon. 42 in Joplin right now, 40 in Pittsburgh. So it is cold, but it is seasonably cold across the region. A look at those temperatures, and I mentioned a couple upper 30s were going to be possible. We've got them, Iola, Neodesha, and Sedan sitting at 39, as well as Parsons. Most of us, though, hanging out in the low to mid 40s. Now, as kids get on the bus this morning, this is what we're looking at. Some patchy fog out there, 44, and the winds will be calm. And then as that bus brings them home, unlike yesterday, we're going to be warming up, 63. A few clouds here and there, that east breeze at 5 to 10. Our highs today into the low 60s, even some upper 50s. There's a few clouds will clear out briefly in the evening hours, and then we'll see clouds thickening back up as we go into the overnight hours toward our Thursday. We have some rain chances and even some thunderstorm chances. We'll break down those details for you here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, the First Presbyterian Church in Joplin hosted a charity lunch yesterday. The event benefited Crosslines, a local nonprofit dedicated to providing emergency services that support and improve the welfare of families in need. Now, the charity lunch also served as a great way to educate members of the community as to Crosslines' mission.
Have these luncheons that partner with great causes in our community, and it allows us to bring a little more awareness to some of the things that are going on, along with raising funds for them. It's a good way of getting members of the community, members of our church, and maybe potentially some people that would benefit from some of these services all in the same place at the same time.
The church has announced that each month it will spotlight a different organization in need, continuing its commitment to giving back to the community. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Pittsburgh State football falls in the most recent coaches poll. We'll have those details. Plus, over 2,000 migrants head towards southern Mexico, hoping to reach the U.S. border. And we have a warmer and sunny day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Not a fatal one. The NCAA releases its first set of regional rankings this week. The top 7 teams from this group are going to make the playoffs. And despite picking up its second loss, Pittsburgh State is the 3 seed in Super Region 3. Ferris State, who the Gorillas beat in the season opener, is in first. The Bulldogs haven't lost since that game on August 31st, followed by Grand Valley State, who ended PSU's 2023 season in the playoffs last November. Much like Tom Anthony said immediately after his team's 24-point loss to Central Missouri on Saturday, all of the Gorillas' goals for the season are still attainable, even with 2 losses. As you just saw, they're the highest-ranked MIAA team. That's not the case, however, in the most recent AFCA coaches poll. Last week, Pittsburgh State was ranked number 5 in the nation. This time around, the Gorillas drop outside of the top 10 and fall to number 13 in the country, which is the lowest they've been ranked all season. Central Oklahoma leads the way for MIAA teams. The Broncos are ranked 8th after a comeback win in overtime against Missouri Western this Saturday. Emporia State lost to Hayes. They fall to number 20 in this poll. Last night, we also got our first look at the rankings from the College Football Playoff Committee over at the Division I level. Those just got released at 7 o'clock last night. Some teams of note: Mizzou is ranked 24th and Kansas State is 19th. Both of them still have a shot at making the playoffs. Remember, this is the first year of the expanded 12-team playoff. And it's playoff time for Missouri high school soccer. 3 of our local teams played in a district semifinal yesterday evening. We're going to start in Class 3 District 6. Carl Junction and Webb City, a couple of former COC rivals, square off in Springfield with a trip to the title game on the line. The Bulldogs win big 6-2. The final score. That means they will play for district championship on Thursday night against the host school and top seed Springfield Catholic. Over in the Class 4 District 6 tournament, Carthage boys soccer is also in action. The Tigers have their season come to a close in the district semifinals. They get shut out 4-0 against the top seed Rockhurst, who also won by shutout in their quarterfinal against Neosho this past Saturday. So to come, a new study suggests too much sitting can harm your heart health. Plus, too much cold can remind you that it is actually November. We're going to look at some chilly temperatures and rain chances when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 5:17 on this post-election day morning. And if you're starting your morning commute this early or at any point this morning, you need to slow down. Low beams, not your high beams. Fog lights if you have them, because take a look. We don't have any dense fog advisories out there at this time, but we do have dense fog. Fort Scott, Chanute, Independence, Miami, Grove are some of the more significantly reduced communities of visibility here. But as you can see, we've got patchy fog out there across the entire region on every major roadway. So do slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. Remember, it is better to be a few minutes late than not arrive at all. Okay? I don't want to hear stories tomorrow morning that we're covering because people were driving recklessly in the fog. So don't do it. Just be smart, be safe. Let's look at the future track. There it is. It's in the future. Noon today. Now we've looked at it. Let's see what it's got to show us, though. For today, the only thing it has to show us is just a few passing clouds and cooler temperatures. So yesterday, some of us actually got a little warmer than we thought we would because we got a little more sunshine in there, and it was just enough to bring temperatures up a bit for some of us, but not all of us. Today, even though we're going to have considerably more sunshine, we are going to be cooler across the board than what we were yesterday. Now, clouds will begin to increase overnight, and we'll kind of have a mix of partly to mostly cloudy skies throughout our day Thursday, and that will also slow our warm-up. Take a look by noon. We've got, just a few communities into the low 60s by noon, the rest of us into the upper 50s. And we're looking at highs topping out tomorrow into the upper 50s and low 60s, and again with that mix of partly to mostly cloudy skies. Then we head into Friday. Friday is where it gets a little more interesting. The timing isn't set in stone yet, but we are looking at shower and thunderstorm chances on Friday. Now we're looking, at least at this point on the future track, to spend the first half of the day dry but cloudy, and then we'll see showers and storms slowly working in from our western counties by the evening hours, and they'll continue to gradually push eastward across the area. So now we do have some potential flooding concerns. We're not expecting as much rain out of this as we just got, but the ground is still fairly saturated, so we'll have to see exactly what happens here. Now the good news is we're not anticipating any severe weather at this point. There is a severe threat for for Friday, but it's to our south, and that's where we're hoping it will stay, because that's the last thing we need is more severe weather to contend with. It is cold. but it is seasonably cold. 42 in Joplin right now. Winds are calm, skies are clear. Not seeing any fog on our camera here at 7th and Rangeline. Haven't seen any fog on the MoDOT cameras either, or the KDOT cameras for that matter. But as we showed you on the fog tracker, it is out there. Some upper 30s, Iola, Neodesha, Sedan, Parsons. So a bit of a chilly start, but again, seasonably chilly. The rest of us low upwards of the mid 40s. You can see Cassville, Bentonville both sitting at 45. As we get the day underway, again, patchy fog will probably continue through at least 8, maybe 9 at the latest. We'll start the day into the upper 40s out there. A slow climb, but eventually upper 50s by late morning. And again, just a few passing clouds here and there. As we head into the afternoon, taking a look at this, is low 60s for most of us. Some of us may make the mid 60s. Others may not breach the upper 50s. A bit of a chilly day, but at least the winds will be calmer. We're talking light east breeze, about 5 to 10 miles an hour. We'll hold on to that, but winds will begin to shift out of the northeast overnight. And we'll even actually have some clear skies out there before we see the clouds start to return overnight. We'll fall back once again mid 40s, but some low 40s, maybe even an upper 30 or 2. Absolutely possible out there. Let's take a look at the next 10 days, shall we? So again, tomorrow, cool upper 50s, low 60s. Scattered showers and storms, especially in the second half of our Friday, and that'll continue into Saturday morning. And then we'll have clearing skies as we head into Saturday afternoon, but still seasonably cool. However, we're going to start to see temperatures going above normal as we head into the next work week. And we are watching another cold front next Wednesday. It's going to bring us some thunderstorm chances. There's a possible severe risk with this, but we are still several days away, but just kind of put it in your hat that we want to keep an eye on next Wednesday. Temperatures return to normal following that front. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Well, topping Health Watch this morning. Too much sitting could harm your heart even if you exercise. A new study found if you sit a lot and just do the minimum recommended levels of exercise daily, about 20 minutes a day, you could increase your risk for heart disease. Researchers found a person who sat an average of almost 9 hours per day increased their heart aging. They defined heart age using 2 key heart health indicators: total cholesterol and body mass index. Researchers recommend those who sit a lot at work to try using a standing desk and get at least 30 minutes of vigorous exercise per day. Findings appear in the journal PLOS One. Well, taking fish oil supplements may help prevent several types of cancers. Fish oil pills, which are high in omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, have been known to benefit brain health and lower cholesterol. But now researchers say they are linked to a lower risk of developing cancer. The study out of the University of Georgia looked at data from more than 250,000 people. It found participants with higher levels of omega-3s had lower rates of colon, stomach, lung, and other digestive tract cancers. Participants with high omega-6 levels had lower rates of 14 different cancers, including brain, melanoma, and bladder cancer. Well, Muslim women who work in the healthcare field often face a major challenge. That is finding the proper protective equipment. But now 2 respiratory therapists from Minnesota are breaking new ground. They've invented disposable and hygienic hijabs. Kristen Mitchell has more.
Fraoli Adam and Yasmin Samatar met at St. Kate's University as first-generation students.
She didn't know it yet, but I'm like, she's gonna be my best friend.
The respiratory therapists then worked at hospitals across the country, but as healthcare workers wearing hijabs, they faced challenges.
So I remember going in, and the OR room is a sterile environment. You have to keep very sterile. So having your hijab like this long all over the place is not something that's very ideal because you're bringing infection to the room.
And they had nothing to cover their hijab.
They had a beard cover, and we looked at each other like, beard cover, like they even have beard cover, why not hijab cover? You know, we're just like, this is okay, something has to be out there.
So they set out to be the solution.
We introduce you to Mawagda's Hygienic Hijab, a patent-pending biosafe disposable hijab that is FDA compliant.
Like the diversity and inclusion is really important, you know, making sure we're already stressful, we work in a stressful environment, you know, helping other people, why not get the support? You know, it's also about infection prevention.
Since launching Mawada in 2022, they've received requests from workers and hospitals across the country and beyond.
having the hijab there kind of tells people, like, as a Muslim woman, you're supported in this hospital, and your voice and your presence is valued, and that kind of empowers you.
Next year, they're launching a modest scrub line with skirts, dresses, and more, empowering Muslim women to feel more confident and comfortable on the job.
The hygienic hijab will provide safety and comfort for all. Created for us, by us.
Muslim women are as amazing as any other woman, and I just want them to go out there and do their job, save lives.
The co-founders say their hijabs are for anyone, including patients, and they've had people use them to cover hair braids or just for extra protection around their head. Now to look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We've got a pretty decent start to our Wednesday morning out there. Got some patchy fog, the latest when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, the votes are in. We'll have the latest numbers from our area.
We've got a chilly but seasonably cool start to the day and some patchy fog to contend with. A look at that forecast, get you out the doors coming up.
Plus, students at Joplin High School got a chance to cast their ballots in a mock election.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Elise Snowy.
Chris Warner, it is now Wednesday, November the 6th, day after election. A lot being decided yesterday.
Yes.
A lot of big issues out there. Election season's always exciting. Doesn't matter how it goes, it's always exciting.
It certainly is. And of course, some of these numbers that we have are not final. And CBS did about an hour ago project that Donald Trump is the new president-elect. So we'll, of course, have more on that later as the morning show continues. But we're going to turn it over now to a number of local questions on ballots across the area from last night's elections. Starting in Bourbon County, Kansas, voters voted in favor of expanding the county commission to 5 commission districts. Also in Bourbon County, USD 234 asked if the school board should move from electing its 6 members under the district method. Instead, they would use the at-large system. That question passed. Now in Crawford County, Girard voters decided yes on a sales tax for public streets, bridges, and incidental facilities. And in McCune, they decided whether there should be a sales tax to pay for the general operation expenses. The sales tax passed. In Allen County, voters rejected a sales tax to fund emergency medical and ambulance health care services in the county. Our voters said no to a proposed sales tax for street projects and other capital improvements. Now moving now to Missouri, Golden City voters decided on Prop A. The measure was a local use tax at the same rate as the total local sales tax rate. The measure passed. And wrapping up in Delaware County, Oklahoma, some voters there decided whether the town of Cleora should be incorporated. Voters said yes to that measure. We have a more complete list of election results, and it's on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/elections. Now let's head over to Chris with a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we're going to start with a look outside from our camera downtown Pittsburgh. Skies are clear out there and it is a bit chilly, but as mentioned, it is seasonably cold across the region. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looking pretty good as well. However, we do have some dense fog across the region to contend with. Some more reduced visibility still in Grove, Iola, and Chanute. But again, you can see across the entire region, with the exception of Pittsburgh and Bentonville, every community out there dealing with reduced visibilities. And so that, of course, includes every major highway in the area as well. So use your low beams, not your high beams. Fog lights if you have them. Drive slowly. Make sure you arrive where you are going. Future track into this afternoon. It's going to be cooler today, despite the fact we'll have more sunshine. We'll have just a few clouds here and there, and the winds are calmer. Light east breeze at about 5 to 10. City at 42 in Joplin, 41 in Pittsburgh right now. We do have some upper 30s. We mentioned that'd be possible. It has happened. Yates Center, Iola, Neodesha, Sedan, and Parsons. The rest of us, though, holding on into the low 40s across the region, even 45 in Bentonville. Kids getting on the bus this morning, some fog to contend with, about 44. Winds will be calm, and then we'll have that east breeze at about 5 to 10 this afternoon. 63 for many of us when that bus brings them back home. So again, highs today, low 60s, maybe even some upper 50s. A few passing clouds will clear out briefly this evening before we see the clouds return as we head into the overnight hours. We have some rain chances on the horizon. Details on all of that here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon, Chris. Thanks. Well, students at Joplin High School cast their ballots. However, these votes don't actually count. Now, the school held a mock election put together by the Joplin Student Council. The ballot the students voted on is an exact copy of the Jasper County ballot. Now, it's a great way for students to get a better understanding of how elections work.
I hope that people realize that their vote truly does matter. Every little thing counts, no matter what you put. That is a percentage. If small, it still exists. You are helping, you are voting, and you are making our country what it is.
Now, if you're curious about the results, Joplin students did vote for Donald Trump to be president, Mike Kehoe for governor, and every proposed amendment in the Missouri Constitution passed. Again, these are the mock election results, not the actual election. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Infections are on the rise in Spain after devastating floods struck the country, killing more than 200 people. Plus, Israeli Prime Minister dismissed his defense minister over the war in Gaza. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Topping World Watch. There's a growing risk of infections in the aftermath of devastating floods that struck eastern Spain. Volunteers tried to clear debris and mud after floods killed more than 200 people in the Valencia region. Now, regional and national leaders are urging residents and volunteers to wear gloves and face masks to protect themselves from possible infections that could come from direct contact with mud. Now, health experts say people should avoid direct contact with mud or sludge, especially if they have a wound. Police and firefighters, as well as soldiers, continue to search this week for those still missing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dismissed his defense minister, Yoav Gallant. Netanyahu and Gallant have repeatedly been at odds throughout the war in Gaza, but Netanyahu had avoided firing his rival until now. Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
In a surprise move, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has fired his popular defense minister 13 months into the country's brutal war with Hamas.
In the first months of the war, there was trust and there was very fruitful work. During the last months, this trust cracked between me and the defense minister.
Just hours before the shakeup, Minister Yoav Gallant was in northern Israel recruiting new soldiers. On Monday, Gallant approved drafting 7,000 more ultra-Orthodox men for the Israeli Defense Force.
We will have to recruit more populations, led by ultra-Orthodox populations on a large scale.
Meanwhile, the war is spilling into other areas of the Middle East. Israel said it struck a Hezbollah weapons storage facility in Syria on Tuesday and has been attacking Lebanon for weeks. Iran is now threatening to retaliate after Israeli forces carried out strikes on military targets there last month. The U.S. is deploying bombers, aircraft, and Navy destroyers to the region and sending a warning to Iran.
We stand ready to support the defense of Israel and would encourage Iran not to launch any type of retaliatory attack.
The families of Israelis still held hostage in Gaza released a statement Tuesday saying they have deep concern over the move and are calling on new Defense Minister Israel Katz to prioritize the release of hostages.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:43 now on this Wednesday morning. We have some fog to contend with. We've seen some improvements, but take a look just west of Independence, so parts of Montgomery County, Elk, and Chautauqua. Very dense fog, but we don't have any communities mapped here, but you can see visibility is almost zero. We still have reduced visibilities across a good portion of the area, so that is including virtually all of our major highways out there. So if you're commuting, again, use your low beams, not your high beams, and if you've got fog lights, great. This is what they're for. They're not for driving on clear nights. I see people do that. It drives me insane because it makes your car even brighter. But during the fog, that's what those fog lights are for. All right, future track. The fog will burn off by 8:39 at the latest, and we'll have just a few clouds out there. And even though we're going to have more sunshine today than we did yesterday and even calmer winds, it's going to be cooler across the area, as many of us only going upper 50s, low 60s out there. But it will be nice, and we'll have an easterly breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Clouds begin to increase, though, overnight, and we'll start to go partly to mostly cloudy for our Thursday, and that's actually going to keep us even cooler. Take a look by noon, just a few communities into the low 60s, the bulk of the area in the upper 50s by noon. So we're talking upper 50s, low 60s again for our highs, but we're looking at maybe the possibility of a few more of those upper 50-degree readings out there. Then we head into Friday, and that's where things get exciting. Maybe a few overnight showers or early morning showers in parts of southeast Kansas to Yates Center, Fredonia, Chanute. Otherwise, our day will start partly cloudy. Then the clouds will increase. We're going to be mostly cloudy. We're going to warm up just a hair, but not much, as we go upper 50s, low to mid 60s. And by the evening hours, now we have showers and even some thunderstorms rolling in. So by 5, we've got Yates Center, Fredonia, knocking on the door of Parsons, Coffeyville, Bartlesville, Veneta getting in on the rain activity. And it will gradually, now the storms and showers are going to be lifting north, but the whole system's going to be pushing slowly to the east as we go overnight Friday into our Saturday as well. Now the good news is, while there is a severe risk on Thursday, at this point it looks to stay, Friday, my apologies, I keep getting the days backwards here. It looks to stay well to our south at this point. So that's great news. We don't need any more severe weather. While we do need rain, we don't need the severe weather to go with it. All right, cold, but again, seasonably so. 42 in Joplin. Winds right now are calm. And around the region, it got chilly. It certainly did. We've got some upper 30s out there. Sedan, Yates Center, Neodesha, Independence, Parsons, and Iola. And the rest of us, though, hanging out into the low 40s. Some mid-40s, Bentonville sitting at 45. So as we get the morning underway, again, the patchy fog will continue through about 8:39 at the latest, and then we'll just have a few clouds here and there, starting off into the upper 40s, eventually making the upper 50s by 11 o'clock this morning. Now, again, keep in mind, some of you out there may not breach the upper 50s for highs. It's going to be a bit on the cool side. That might even put some of you below normal for this time of year. But majority of us looking to go low 60s as we head into the afternoon with sunny skies. So pretty much a textbook fall day. It's going to be gorgeous out there. And then as we head into the evening, again, the clouds begin to gradually increase. We'll actually have a period of clear skies across the bulk of the area through the early and late evening hours, and then, mid-evening. Then by late evening, clouds begin to return, partly to mostly cloudy skies tonight. Mid-40s for most of us, but again, keep in mind, many of us could still see some low 40s out there, maybe a couple upper 30s. Breezy tomorrow. Northeast winds gusting upwards of 20 to 25, highs upper 50s, low 60s. Then by Friday, start to see scattered showers and thunderstorms rolling in. Those continue overnight into the first half of our Saturday. And then by Saturday afternoon, skies will begin to clear, but we're still cool. Then we get into Sunday, a bit warmer, more sunshine. That continues as we start the next work week. Temperatures going well above normal by Wednesday, but we're watching a cold front Wednesday, bringing us some thunderstorm chances, maybe a severe potential, still several days out, something we'll keep an eye on, and then that cold front puts our temperatures back to normal for Thursday. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with more right after this.
Oscar winner Cillian Murphy has gone from Oppenheimer to a very different historical drama. This one based on an award-winning novel. David Daniel has a look.
Girls.
Hi, Dad.
How are you getting on?
Cillian Murphy is a coal merchant in a 1980s Irish small town controlled by the church in Small Things Like These.
I'd want to watch what you'd say about what's there.
He begins to suspect the church is running an abusive Magdalene laundry, which reminds him of trauma from his own childhood.
Things happen incrementally, and we meet him at this point in his life where he's experiencing some major sort of emotional turmoil, and it's kind of, it feels like he's going through some sort of breakdown, you know?
Don't you ever question it? People can make things difficult for you.
This oppressive kind of atmosphere of in the town and the control that the church exerts over the whole of society, it's all coming to a head on this particular couple of days before Christmas. You know?
The Lord is compassion and love, slow to anger and rich in mercy.
Murphy also served as a producer on the film.
He was kind of involved in everything before we started shooting, and we were really on the same page.
I will live in the past, the present, and the future. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach.
We're very clear we wanted the flashbacks to kind of feel like all of a sudden you're in the past. You know, there's no like 30 years earlier title. You know what I mean? It just we're there.
Do you want to get on in this life? There are things you have to ignore.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, professors put post-holiday pumpkins to good use by treating them with fire and fury, all in the name of education. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Bombs away! A California university's annual event pitting pumpkins against gravity in the name of science definitely puts the fall into festive fall fun. Chico State's annual Pumpkin Drop Experiment uses pumpkins aplenty to teach the principles of physics and gravity to elementary school students in the widest of arrays of wild and wacky ways, from setting them on fire or filling them with water to launching them to their pulpy doom from a harrowing height. Organizers say the annual event allows the young minds access to complex scientific concepts in a fun and colorful way. And from building young minds to young minds building. Take a look at a tiny home designed and built entirely by these Alaska 7th and 8th graders.
Anybody can build a house, even kids.
The students from the Anchorage Stream Academy set out on the project last year in an effort to learn about real-world solutions to real-world problems like homelessness. The cozy dwelling, built for less than $4,000, will eventually be donated to an area church doing a drive to combat the city's housing issue, but in the meantime, these industrious students aren't slowing down.
We're planning on building furniture as one of our next STEM projects, so we can put it in here and make it more livable.
Hopefully we can inspire other people to build houses like this.
Finally, on the subject of tiny spaces,
since when did we become deer wranglers?
These cops are about to be schooled. Several officers in Overland, Missouri had to work together to free a deer that crashed into and around a nail salon before becoming trapped in the bathroom. The animal eventually wobbled on out, and the brave officers learned it's never too late to learn a new skill. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Stick around, we'll be right back. Well, a Paris church is hosting an immersive and historic light show. Crowds have been flocking to the Saint Sulpice Church in the French capital. Now, the church, a neoclassical monument, which is bigger than Notre Dame, is at the center of this new immersive light show. It depicts with 360-degree video projections the story of the church and its place in French history. The church's more than 64,000 square feet of interior space was transferred into a digital stage through video mapping. And more than 45 projectors illuminate the church. And the immersive light show is part of a new trend in Paris that uses light technology to showcase famous church interiors. Well, a newborn pygmy hippo in Scotland could be the next internet sensation. A zoo in Edinburgh is hoping that Haggis, the baby pygmy hippo, will become a social media star like Thailand's popular Mudang. The Royal Zoological Society of Scotland says Haggis is doing well and her personality was beginning to shine. The zoo hopes that Haggis will draw as much attention as Mudang, who became a global viral sensation earlier this year thanks to her clumsy antics. Pygmy hippos, native to the forest and swamps of West Africa, are an endangered species. It's estimated that only 2,500 remain in the wild due to habitat loss.
Well, now, thanks to that one, there's 2,501 pygmy hippos out there. Very cool, though. Very cute little things there. All right, taking a look. We got that patchy fog to contend with through about 8, maybe 9 at the latest. Then we'll have mostly clear skies, upper 40s to start, upper 50s by 11 o'clock. Highs today, some of us will top out in the upper 50s. I think most of us will at least reach the low 60s. We'll have a light east breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. A period of clear skies this evening before clouds begin to increase again overnight, going partly to mostly cloudy, mid 40s. Again, maybe some low 40s and even some upper 30s out there. As we head into our Thursday, breezy northeast winds gusting 20, 25, low 60s, upper 50s again. Scattered storms begin working in on Friday. No severe weather is expected at this point, and they'll continue into the first half of our Saturday, and we'll start clearing by the afternoon. Warming trend as we head into the next work week, and we're watching thunderstorms on Wednesday. We have a cold front coming in. There is a severe potential that we're keeping an eye on, but we're still several days away. Just want to keep Wednesday in mind. After that, though, temperatures back to normal for Thursday. Let's check your forecast. Got another hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.